Welcome everybody back to another edition of our Diversity and Inclusion Chat during our Explore the Summit series. We are featuring North Dakota State this week, and today we are joined by some basketballers. We got two assistant coaches from the men's side and a female women's basketball player. Joshua Jones, first-year assistant coach, along with Josh Sash, another first-year assistant coach, and then Ryan Cobbin, sophomore, for the women's basketball team. What we've been doing is just kind of giving everybody a chance to explain why this subject of diversity and inclusion is so important to you guys. So, Coach Jones, why don't you get things started with that?
Yep. Thank you, Ryan. I think it's most important just for the simple fact to raise awareness. I think we all need to continue to work on it, being aware, identifying with people that are not like ourselves, because that creates change, that creates a better place for us all in our communities. And it also promotes equal opportunity. So again, dealing with, different diversities, right? None of us are born sexist, racist, homophobic, all right? It's all, learned behavior. So I think, again, just the biggest piece for me is all about awareness and just getting that message out there and becoming together as one. So.
Perfect. Coach Sash?
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for doing this today and giving us this opportunity. I think, for me, diversity and inclusion is important. We live in a diverse world, and if you're in athletics, you live in a very diverse world, especially, men's and women's basketball is very diverse. I think, Josh and I have known each other here for just a couple months, getting a chance to work together. But I think, getting the opportunity to, sit down and have some of these conversations already, I think you learn about people, you grow, you become better. And, I think just to his point, raising awareness, creating a platform where we can have these conversations. I think before, I think there's diversity in men's basketball. I think maybe these conversations or your student athletes don't feel as comfortable to have these conversations. And I think now we've created a platform and an environment that we're having these conversations, and we're all growing. I think myself as a white man, when I've entered these conversations, it's been important for me to be a listener. I think we can be, in order to be a good leader, I think we have to be good listeners. And, that's been the main thing for me as I've joined a lot of these conversations, is to listen and to try to educate myself and figure out how I can be better to give the best of me and meet the needs of my student athletes. And then I guess kind of pulling on it from a personal side as well. I have three young boys at home, and these are conversations that they're still pretty young, but as they get older, how do I raise my boys and get them to understand differences and see differences. They're fortunate because they have opportunities, I think, being around a men's basketball program since they've been born. But just to make sure that they understand, how to treat people, how to include people, and how to act the right way. And I think that's why it's important to create a better place for us to live, as far as creating a better place in the world.
Absolutely. And Ryan, thoughts on diversity and inclusion for you?
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for having us. As far as diversity goes, it's extremely important. It's a life skill that I think everyone should have. And like the coaches both mentioned, just sitting down and having these conversations with people who don't necessarily look like you has been super important. And it's been a huge step forward, especially around the NDSU campus. I know for me, I've had several conversations with my teammates and coaches about maybe something that I've experienced that they haven't, and just continuing to try to seek to understand what someone who doesn't look like you might be going through, whether they're Black, white, LGBTQ, whatever they are. But, just learning to accept that these negative things are happening to certain groups of people, and accepting that there is a problem that needs to be changed, and just keep pushing towards equality is the biggest thing. But diversity is definitely something that's important to me, especially being a biracial female. I am the book definition of diversity. My mom's biracial, so I have white grandparents, and then my dad being African American. I've always done a pretty good job at seeing both sides of things. And I just want to continue to push towards that and to help educate my teammates and maybe someone else who doesn't quite know what's going on, or even, not familiar with the things that's going around the world today.
Sure. And Ryan, I'll just follow up with you real quick. On campus, NDSU, you're in North Dakota, like, what are some things that you've seen evolve here since fall semester started, or just throughout the summer where these conversations are ongoing and that momentum is bringing change or bringing, more awareness, things like that on campus there?
Right. So honestly, North Dakota isn't the most diverse place, but just seeing a lot of our fan base being on our sides and being supportive of the student athletes have been one of probably the most rewarding things, because you never know what you're going to get out of a group of people who don't quite look like you. As far as student athletes go, we've started a minority group student athlete meetings that we meet about once a month on Thursdays and just talk about what's going on and what we can do in the community. As far as academic offices go, I know that we have started a survey that minority students can participate in to just basically say if the academic office is fulfilling their needs, if there's anything more that they can do for us and things like that. And then we've also created a safe space here in the academic offices for student athletes of color, LGBTQ members, and female athletes, just, based on things that you might experience every single day. So there's definitely things that are being implemented around campus. And for me individually, I'm actually volunteering for the NAACP, and I'm reaching out to people across the state of North Dakota, encouraging them to vote.
Nice. Great job. Great stuff. It's, this is the fifth campus that I've kind of previewed with diversity inclusion, and there's lots going on all of our campuses, and it's really impressive to see what our student athletes are doing to keep this momentum going. So we certainly appreciate your efforts and what you're doing there in Fargo. It's incredible, and just keep it going, keep the momentum going, and keep doing what you're doing, because I've seen on your social media the passion that you have for this. You're not going to stay silent. I think that's incredible, and speak up and keep using your voice. It's great to see. Coach Sash, you're part of the Coaches for Change group. It's a new group that the basketball coaches across the country have put together here this past summer, and just talk about how you got involved with that and what you're doing with that, what the mission of that is.
Well, I got involved with Coaches for Change, just actually through a conversation with a former coworker, and then a former, he became a boss later on, Kareem Richardson, who was my boss at UMKC. And then I worked with him when I was a grad assistant at Drake University, when he was there as an assistant. And, just it's been a busy summer with with COVID, and I know Josh has kind of been in the same boat, both of us accepting this new job and starting in May. And I've had several trips to Kansas City and back. So I've had a lot of time to get on the phone and, while I'm in the car. So, I got into a uncomfortable conversation, or, what we call uncomfortable conversations with Kareem, and just, tried to be a listener, tried to gain understanding of, just different things that me as a white male that I don't understand and I don't know, I've never experienced, and then just talking about some things that I can do to help. What can I do, Kareem? And the thing that he said to me was, it starts at home. It starts at home with you and your kids. That's kind of where you start, and then it kind of goes out from there. But then, in that same conversation, he told me about this group, Coaches for Change, and they just kind of started to form. He said that they had a representative from, every conference, or trying to have a representative from every conference in the country. And I said, hey, do you have somebody from the summit? And he said, you know what, I don't think we do. And then next thing you know, I'm getting into the group and taking part in these conversations. And the thing to me, and kind of just hearing Ryan talk a little bit about just what people are actually doing with the group that she's been a part of here on campus. There's it's not just a lot of, people put out, a social media statement or things like that. Like there's actual momentum and actual change that I think is, able to continue this momentum. But, the part of the group, Coaches for Change, that, we really wanted to give our student athletes an easy way, first of all, to register to vote. And that was kind of, as we sat down and started to, talk about which direction do we want to go with this, how can we help our student athletes understand that their voice can be heard through voting that can create change. And so, about 50 different coaches on the men's basketball side initially around the country got together. We started, mapping out what we thought, a website should look like. And, a couple developers jumped on board with this and developed a really big time website. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. It's a great website, step-by-step process. There's resources on there for coaches, for student athletes to go on and learn about different candidates in different areas. There's a step-by-step process to go on there and see if, are you registered to vote already, or are you not registered to vote? If you're not, here's the steps that you need to take. Here's how you can get an absentee, ballot. Just a lot of really cool tools on there. And these developers were great. They turned out this website, in a very short period of time. I think it's been a really cool tool. I've been able to kind of share around with some of the coaches in our athletic department that, we've been able to use to help with voter registration.
Cool, good stuff. And is it coachesforchange.org? Is that
coachesforchange.org? Correct.
And the number 4, right? Is that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I did get a chance to look at it. And it's pretty slick and it's pretty informative and it's a good tool. We have it on our sounding board page on our website. We have a lot of other voter information and things of those tools, like you mentioned. So it's another good process to have, and appreciate you being, the Summit League representative for Coaches for Change and all that you guys are doing to keep the momentum going and get people out there that maybe haven't voted or didn't think their vote mattered to see the importance of it. So kudos to you and your group for doing that. And Coach Jones, you got there late May, early June into Fargo. You got another new assistant coach that you're working with, Coach Sash. What are the conversations been like with the men's basketball team and the uncomfortable conversations, or just things that you guys being new have been able to experience and be a part of?
They've actually been great. I mean, we've had continuous dialogue since day one. Coach Richmond, he's all in for it. All of our assistants, our student athletes. We give them an opportunity every practice before we even get started. We sit down in the film room and, Coach gives them that platform. Is there anything that we see in the news that we need to discuss? Is anybody feeling a certain way? And we have those conversations. And then again, off record, me and Coach Richmond, we have conversations all the time. And we had a couple today. It's to the point where in the past, they may have been uncomfortable, but we've been having them so much that they become second nature. And I think that's the biggest thing, as we keep saying about momentum, is let's raise the awareness. Let's have these conversations so these conversations aren't as uncomfortable. And then we're also able to come from a good place to find a common ground and a common solution. So I think, again, we've been awesome. As Ryan mentioned, we've been doing some things with our minority student athletes. That's been great. And again, and for the most part, sometimes it's just, giving them a platform just to talk, just to be able to vent, to speak, right? Because sometimes these things can be emotional, right? And we can act emotional and rational. So we give them those opportunities to get those out, talk through them with people who's been through situations like you, and then coming together and having those conversations with, the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's been really good since I've been here. It's been the most that I've even talked about some of these issues, and it's been very, very, very good for me and my personal growth as well. So.
Great. I know Ryan and Coach Jones are part of our diversity and inclusion task force at the Summit League, and taking initiatives there to bring awareness throughout the seasons that are upcoming. So appreciate those things. Ryan, you're from Kansas City originally. I know that on your social media you posted some things about Kansas City, and you were part of a Sunflower Smack where you talked about diversity and inclusion. So just it reaches further than just Fargo for you. So talk about just how important this is for back home and there in Kansas City too.
Oh man, city's super diverse area that I'm from. So just being able to have conversations with people back home is always rewarding. But, you know, people all across America are experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing, the same thing that Josh is experiencing. So just coming together as a minority group and being able to have conversations about what can we do as a group to help move this thing forward has been super important to me. And basically with anyone that I've been able to have a conversation with about racial and inequality and any social justice issue.
What for you, now let's bring it back to Fargo and the women's basketball program. What's been going on with you guys, and have the conversations, like Coach Jones mentioned, become easier to talk about things like this with your group as well?
I would say it has become easier. A lot of the girls on our team were just always under the misconception that having these conversations was almost offensive. And so since we brought these topics to, you know, the front and center, we've been able to talk about these things a lot easier, a lot more comfortably. I mean, obviously it's never going to be easy talking about something so sensitive to some, but a lot of the girls on my team are sharing, you know, how they admit that they'll never be able to experience something that I experience, or maybe another minority is experiencing, but they're willing to learn and they're willing to accept the fact that there is something horrible going wrong to certain groups of people in America.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I've seen from the previous conversations, and this conversation, very, very enlightening. Looks like good things are happening in Fargo as well. And I know you guys are keeping the momentum going. And, you know, as a white male, like Coach Ashton mentioned, like these are great for me. Like I have enjoyed them. They've been eye-opening. I have 2 young boys at home, like Coach Ashton does, that I was involved with the men's basketball program for 10 years, and they were, you know, at practices and at games, and there's things that they've been exposed to that I think are going to help them out in the future and make it more comfortable for them. But they also, you got to keep it at home and make sure that they, you know, see that it's not, there are lines that you need to look through and lenses that are uncomfortable. And it's great. Like these are awesome conversations. You guys have been great to chat with. Thanks for bringing us up to date on what's happening there in Fargo. Really appreciate the time. And last chance, anyone else have anything they want to mention before we wrap this up? You guys good? All right, perfect. Hey, thanks again. You guys are great, and good luck with your basketball seasons here upcoming. We're close. We're getting going here in a couple of weeks, so excited about that too. Thanks, guys.